Hello, everybody. Welcome to Reconstructing Nigeria and Nigerians. But today I want to talk about not just Nigeria, but Africa as well. I want to talk about the issue of democracy in Africa. And the topic is going to be Electoral College and problems of democracy in Africa. Now, for people who know something about Electoral College, they will be wondering, why Electoral College in Africa? We don't have Electoral College in Africa. Electoral College is only something that is in American democracy. It is a reality of American democracy, not that of African democracy. Actually, when it comes to Electoral College, almost nowhere in the world is being practiced apart from America. And that is the problem, because we just take the word democracy and we take the surface practice of democracy in general terms without going to the details of it. I personally believe that there is no developing country that should practice democracy without Electoral College. If any democracy in the developed country, any country in the developed country is trying to practice democracy, is going to be full of corruption and it's going to be unfair. So democracy is unfair to Africa, democracy is unfair to Nigeria, democracy is just been a practice of sharps and rubbish and just all kinds of the mismanagement that is not helping the situation at all. It's making things, it's a chaff in Africa and not in most developing countries too. Democracy will not work in developing countries until they adjust it and they modify it to fit into the particular country we are talking about. Because when America was less developed, that is what America did. That is why they have Electoral College, because it is their own way of modifying democracy to fit into their system so that the level of development will not mitigate against them. But now the level of development is mitigating against us in Africa, because with democracy is only workable in a developed nation where at least there is good education, where people are educated and where at least people know what is going on politically. But in Africa, like in my country, where only 50% of the population is educated, democracy is harmful, almost dangerous. Even though we say we are practicing it, but we are really not practicing democracy. We need a form of Electoral College for democracy to work in Africa and in Nigeria in particular. It has to be our own form of Electoral College, not maybe like that of America, but it has to be some form of adjustment to the democracy that we are practicing right now. But most people maybe have never heard about Electoral College. Well, it is a system to safeguard democracy that was developed in America during the budding years of their democracy, when the democracy was still growing, and they developed and came about this Electoral College idea to deal with the deficiencies and the weaknesses of democracy. Maybe, and most people have heard about democracy when we talk about popular votes and electoral colleges. What that is talking about is that popular vote is when people just vote and the person with the majority of vote wins. Well, that is what we are practicing right now. We are only practicing democracy with popular vote. And that is why we have a lot of mess with the democracy that we are practicing in Africa. But in America, the popular vote does not guarantee you a victory in the election, because we still have an organ that is superior to the popular vote. And that organ that is superior is what is called the Electoral College. And the reason they did that is because so that anybody by accident from the street cannot just hijack their democracy. And so that anybody that it is popular, that is voted in by the masses, could not also take over the country when people who know better know that this person doesn't fit to become the president. So that's why they have the Electoral College. So it is only when Electoral College votes for the person to become the president, and as the person that votes, that wins the Electoral College vote, is the person that becomes the president, even if the person has less votes than let's vote with the popular votes, with the populists. So the population could give majority of the vote to somebody, but until the electoral college could trust you enough to give you the majority of the votes, you are not going to become president. That is the kind of thing we need in Africa, because until we have that kind of system in place, the failure of democracy will keep on being a disappointment to all of us. Like even recently, as close as recently as the last election in America with Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton won the majority vote, but she didn't become she won the popular vote, but she didn't become the American president because of the electoral college. It is Trump that won the electoral college. So there are some considerations that are put in place before somebody could become a president, and before you could say that you have won. So that's the kind of thing we need. There are other examples in the history of America where this has happened. There was an election between George Bush Jr. and Al Gore. And Al Gore also won the popular vote, but he didn't win the electoral college because of the system that has been put in place. Apart from that, there are also other places that other examples in the history of America when people who won the popular vote didn't become the president. Like there was a time, there was an election in America in 1886 when Benjamin Harrison became the president of America, but he actually lost to Grover Cleveland, who he actually lost by 90,000 of the votes, but he still became the president, and Cleveland lost the election. The same thing happened in 1876 and 1824. The people who won the popular vote, they lost the election because of this electoral college that we are talking about. So what is this electoral college? Well, it's not the topic of my discussion today, but I will try my best to explain to you what it means. It is simply put, it is because despite the fact that, let me say, electoral college will be a system that is that puts some guidelines and safeguards so that the people who are populace, who are biomasses, who don't know better, will not go and be bribed, will not be bought, and then give away their, or be deceived by, just be deceived and be flattered to give their vote to a populace. Because, in history of humanity, there are always populists that just come and demagogues and populists. The populists will just come with sweet tongue and, people will just follow him. So that's why the Electoral College consists of people who are respected in the society, like judges, like people who have proved their track record politically. So they are in all parties and in different states. So there are people who their vote counts more than just one vote. So it is when you win those people, that is when, because they know better, they cannot just be deceived by money or by giving bribe or by sweet tongue. They are people who are thoughtful, who take their decisions from an informed position. So when you win them, then you become a president. I personally see this as a very good ingenuity and foresight from the founding fathers of America. I see it as a big wisdom for creating the Electoral College. The basic idea is that some individuals carry more weight with their votes than others. Hence, some states also carry more votes than other states. So why do I agree with this principle? It must be remembered that at the time when that was introduced after American independence, the democracy was just in the process of being established, and a lot of the populace were not educated. And a lot of people also were populists and demagogues, like I said, who could have used their money to buy over the vote of the people. It would therefore be an exercise in self-deception if they just say, okay, we have democracy, so anything that happens will happen. No, they thought it through and decided to put that electoral college in place. So in such instance, the vote of an attorney general who is educated, who is well informed, and is a part of the electoral college will weigh more than the homeless, poor, loafer who is just in the street and that collects money to just vote, or that was just flattered and is just giving his vote. So the people in the electoral college are people who are respected and whose votes carry the day. So that is the way they've saved themselves from all the kind of demagogism and populism. It is judging from that belief that some people understand the political process better, that the people who understand the political process better than ordinary citizens and who are more educated than the uneducated are put in the electoral college. And then the states also that were the founding states who have more stake, they are the stakeholder states. They are the ones also who have more votes than the other states that just came to join the Federation in America. So that gave back to the idea of electoral college, where citizens who already have some amount of weight and influence in the society, people who have their clout, political clout in the society, are registered as part of the electoral college to vote as having special privileges attached to them. Same with the states. The states that are the founding states have greater authority than the states that came later on with new citizens. So the amount of votes that is credited to you depends on your status in the society. I'm not advocating that we should practice exactly the same thing in Nigeria or in Africa, but there must be a regulation. There must be some kind of approach. There must be a difference. We must introduce something different in America, in Africa, to our democracy, so that people are not just buying votes, and so that people are not just being manipulated, and it's not just a joke like the way it is right now. Because right now, the kind of democracy we are practicing is not helping us at all. 50 years that we have been practicing democracy is not helping us, because we have to adjust something and not just swallow the system that was given to us from the West, but we must do something to correct it and make it be a democracy with African specifics. Because right now, with Nigeria, that is the largest democracy in Africa, 50% of the country doesn't even know how to read or write. 50% or 40% of the country cannot even read English or write book or write their names down. They are not educated. So can you say that those people can practice democracy? No, they don't know what's going on. There must be an introduction of some modernism. There must be, an improvement of the whole system before we could, say we are practicing democracy. Some of the citizens don't even understand what a party's political program is all about. It is therefore no wonder why it is rather easy for corrupt politicians to buy their way through this usually gullible group of electorates. So if somebody is illiterate and doesn't even know the names of the candidates, doesn't know the party manifesto, doesn't know the values of the country or the party, and we count that vote to be equal to the vote of a lawyer or a senior advocate of Nigeria or the most educated, informed citizen, it's not fair. And that is the wisdom and the wisdom that I see in the electoral college that is in America. So, we need people who can analyze, who are logical, who can reach conclusions, who have clout and name and authority to have some say in the political process, not just for them to have the same vote as the 50% of the people who cannot even read or write. So if we don't do something to adjust this democracy we are practicing right now, we are just joking. Unfortunately for Africa, may I say that most of the world that are practicing democracy blindly, unfortunately for all of us, America is only propagating democracy in general. They are not telling you about the specifics of the electoral college, that we could also do our own specifics too. They just say you are a democracy or you are not democracy. So we have to think for ourselves. We have to apply our own brain. Sometimes they impose democracy on us, but we have to say stop. This is the way we understand democracy, and this is the way we are going to practice it. because they don't mention the fact that their founding fathers changed democracy in America, and up to now, they have not changed it. They are still doing exactly what the founding fathers put in place. Very few individuals, even in America, know what is electoral college, but they are still practicing it up to today. So we must also practice a system that is going to be better and beneficial for the continent of Africa. So we should not just copy the American model blindly. We should develop our own specifics. I hope to be able to deliberate further on this sometime in the future, maybe even write a book on it, but there must be a different form of democracy for the African continent. But today, I just want to tell my fellow Africans and Nigerians that don't just follow democracy blindly. When there was need for it, they made their own change. And there were at the times also when they would always tell us that you cannot have more than 2 terms, 4 years, 4 years. That's what we're practicing in Nigeria because we are copying America. But there were times when they broke that rule also in America. So apart from the person who won election, if in Africa today somebody won the popular election and it doesn't get to be the president, America themselves will say that it is corruption. They will begin to put sanctions in place and things like that. But in their own country, that happens all the time. So I'm concerned that the African nations are easily manipulated and indeed frightened by the fact that they will call them non-democratic. Just they are using democracy to bully them. And it's almost a curse word for an African to be called dictatorship, that the dictator, that is not democratic. They are afraid of that, and because of that fear, everybody is, they are trying to just copy what America can offer us. But I want to say that we should change something. There is need for us to begin to introduce Africa form of democracy. Maybe it's not going to be electoral college, but let's begin to do something different than the way we are doing right now. Otherwise, democracy will be a curse to the continent rather than a blessing. For the love of God, church, and nation. Peace.